The iPod Touch 4 was released in 2010 and it was a revolutionary device, being very popular and setting a high standard for Apple devices. But the year is 2020 and the question remains, is this iPod anything in the modern age? Hey everyone, Everything Abe here, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at the iPod Touch 4th generation and whether it is worth picking up in 2020. Is it a good buy? Is it obsolete? So let's check it out. Let's roll the intro. So the answer to the question you came for, we will have to cover different aspects about this device. Stay till the end to find out whether it is a good buy in 2020 or not. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. And if you're a recurring viewer, hit the bell icon because it really helps. Let's maybe start with the design. The design really does not look out of place in 2020 with it being one of Apple's premium designs. I assume it's because they haven't really released any designs recently. I'm talking about the chrome shiny back, which had been there since 2001. This back is very prone to scratching, but it also looks really good. And so on the front we do have a 3.5-inch Retina display. And the display was new in 2020 and features a 640 by 960 resolution with a pixel density of 326 ppi. Fun fact, this iPod was the first to have the higher density display, or the Retina display, and it was right on par with the iPhone 4 back then. We have two very obsolete parts about this iPod, the 30-pin connector and the headphone jack. We're also missing the antenna window. But yes, this has a headphone jack in 2020 and a 30-pin dock connector, which is pretty cool. And let's talk about the battery next. Battery is a really sore subject with these iPods because they aren't that great to begin with, and as time goes on, it slowly starts to downgrade, and this iPod's no exception. The battery is rated at 930 milliamp hours, and it is most likely degraded over time. And don't even think about replacing it, because replacing it is completely out of the question. So, expect for it to be on like a dock around the time. So let's talk about the cameras next. So the first one is 0.7 megapixel back shooter that can shoot up to 720p, but this is less than megapixels. It's pretty bad. And on the front we have a 0.3 megapixel VGA camera that records at 480p, and this is good for what this iPod used to be used for at the time. And let's see, wait for it. Yep, FaceTime still works on this iPod in 2020, but you will notice the pixels and the camera because it's very bad. And video can be recorded in 720p at 30 frames per second, as I said, but it doesn't have digital analog optimization, so you will notice it's bad. But I doubt anyone's going to be using this for taking pictures or recording video. I bet people are just going to use this for thing. So let's show you a few pictures about what it is. This is the video from the iPod Touch that I got, and as you can see, my finger's actually bandaged here. It's actually been fixed by the time I've recorded this audio. But yeah, that's my success over there that I'm using right now to edit this video because my computer's really bad. And yeah, so this is basically not a great camera. You can notice all the pixels here. It looks very blurry. Focus is really bad. Oh yeah, this is the camera on the success. It's where I shot all the footage. It actually looks really nice, unlike this camera. So yes, so we can see here everything, my room and stuff. Finally, let's talk about the software and hardware, the last part we will be covering for this review. The iPod has an A4 single-core chipset coupled with 256 megabytes of RAM. That might not sound like a lot in 2020, but this only runs up to iOS 6.1.6. The software has some major disadvantages today, the most known being that it won't let you download any apps requiring iOS 11 or later, none at all. It's so it's such a disadvantage. It still has everything classical about iOS 6, including all the wallpapers and sounds and stuff, but classical isn't always good. And as we know with this iPod, it's very old and very it's very hard to use in 2020. Those are Steve Jobs jeans, and that's like some Mexican totem thing, and it's very, very bad, and I would not recommend using it. And so when you're trying to download an app that runs with iOS 6.0 or 6, on iOS 6, you see here I'm clicking Pokemon Go, and we're on the page, and then we're gonna hit like the get and install thing, and you'll see what happens. It'll pop up with a message, something like this. This app is incompatible with your iPhone, which means no YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or even Spotify without jailbreaking. With jailbreaking, you can install these older versions if you have already had them downloaded on another device before. iOS 6 is super, super old, and it is no surprise if you have trouble with it. So, what can you use this iPod for in 2020? You can use it to store music. This has 8 gigs, 16 gigs, 16 gigs is more rare, 32 gigs, and 64 gigs. It's like pretty, good for music and stuff. But you will definitely, and you can also use it to store videos too, so if you wanted to do that too. And these come really cheap, so it's not like you're gonna have a hard time finding any iPods at this point. So this is my iPod Touch 4 review. I hope you all liked it. If you did like it, please comment, like, and subscribe, as subscribers would be really nice, especially because this is a new series I'm starting on the channel. With all that said, I'm Everything Ape, and this is my video. Bye!